All right. Welcome into the half, everybody. My name's Erich Montgomery with our success group, and I inspire people to build a business that they love. And as you can see, I can touch him.
We're actually at the Impressions Expo right now. I am Erich Campbell. You find me at erichcampbell.com and mostly talking embroidery like we always do, right? But today is a special time because we actually get to be together. What you can't see is even Mr. Terry Combs is over here with the two regular guys. He's back here too. So now we can make him a guest on our show. But we're here live at the Impressions Expo in Fort Worth. So this means we are seeing what's going on, seeing you guys live, and getting in the mix. And we had a really great Two Yearly Guys episode that we recorded right here on the floor in booth 537. So fantastic stuff going on. And honestly, we're probably going to jump right in. Aaron is producing live. Usually I'm producing. He is now producing from our touchscreen system that we have sitting in front of us. But the great thing is we honestly have lovely people coming through. If you missed the Two Regular Guys, you should check into it because we got to talk all about how we got into the industry and why we stay. And frankly, we got to hear some awesome voices that we don't usually get on the podcast because they're here for the event. So I think the greatest thing today is that we are here in the middle of everything with all of this going on, getting to celebrate our community of decorators.
There we go. Love it. Yeah. So let's check in. We got Mr. Todd Downing checking in from Fat Dad Wholesale. Yo. Did I do that right? Yeah. And then Jesse, hello. And Ramona, good to see you again. Hello again, Kingsbury Crafts, and Collegiate Press Wide Format checking in from Boston. So, so again, this is one of those halves that's a little bit different because you were part of it. You were still producing pretty much the whole time, and you just had to do it on screen this time. Yeah. Okay, so we talked to a few people. Obviously, Terry and I told our story. You told your story. We talked to a few people. What was the theme that stood out for you, Erich?
I think for me, the biggest theme was that people stay in the industry not only because it's fun, which is funny, because we talk about that like it's not a big thing, but enjoying what you do and for it to be fun, helping to do decoration, helping people to express themselves is still a worthwhile endeavor. And being able to and wanting to get up in the morning and do what you do is a huge deal. And as we heard from one of our guests, it's a real blessing to have that. So that was cool. But the thing that kept coming up is whether people were on the vendor side or people who are doing decoration, it's the people. It's the relationships that we have with people and the way we get to help. Many of us, myself included, do what we do because we love to help other people, whether it's helping them with decorated apparel that helps them celebrate and show who they are, or helping them to make decorated apparel, which lets them, make a living and honestly just do what they love every day instead of having kind of a soul crushing job. And I think that's the thing. We really saw people who are into this community and the community we have among decorators and even vendors in this space is a special thing, and it's not necessarily everywhere. So really, it was cool to see that being focused on. I mean, what was your takeaway from all the folks coming through?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head there pretty well. I agree with all that. I think, the things that stood out to me too were just regardless of what space they were in, right? I mean, there was some connection to the people. And I think that sometimes gets lost, especially. So I don't know if I'm going to fully go with this, but I've been kind of thinking a lot about kind of what's going on with stuff, we're in that post-pandemic world, lots of virtual things happening and people really taking and running with that. They learned a lot in COVID and how to do it. And now they've said, well, we could go back, but why? Right. And I think the people that make those decisions are kind of missing the boat, because as we talk to all these people here today, there was this element of people, of that connection, and having a connection, we're sitting here behind this camera, but we've had to have all these great conversations on the other side of the camera with just people, shaking a hand and saying hello and that kind of stuff. So I think that was what stood out to me, is that people connection. And in a way that tells me, man, these trade shows and stuff like that we've got to make sure that they continue to happen and get them back to the point where they're really thriving. This feels really good. I mean, looking around the halls here and I think I feel like could say it's back. I don't know the numbers per se, but it definitely feels back. And then you got people like Mr. James Ortolani here, who is now with Hicks. Yes. So it's sit down. We're a little impromptu here, if you don't mind for a second.
Sure, no.
All right. Well, no, please do. So you guys, special treat here. This is James Ortolani with now with the Hicks Corporation, and here's what we're asking today. How did you get into the industry, and then why did you stay?
Okay, I got in the industry. Some of the first screen printing was in the 70s, actually, when I was in college, and I also printed for my band at the time. Yeah. You hear so many of screen printers get into it for the merchandise and for our own band. Yeah. And had to learn the artwork side of it. I would draw logos, and then I couldn't figure out why the screen printers were charging me. I mean, I did the art. Why are they charging me for art?
Yeah.
And so that was in the 70s, but in the 80s, I got in with the Hicks Corporation in 1985 with the knowledge that I had from college and screen print. So, and the reason I stayed is because of the people. I mean, really. I mean, it's a great group of creative people. Every day something new is going to come up. If you're somebody that likes to do cookie cutter stuff that's the same every day, this isn't the industry for you. We have something new all the time, and I think I'm as excited about it today as I was 40 years ago. So anyway,
well, I was really excited to see that you kind of coming home, so to speak. It felt like, at least from my perspective. So tell us about your move here to Hicks.
Yeah, and I've been with Avient for the past 7 years with Wilflex and Rutland Inks and Union, and the company that I started with Hicks Corporation, sold to another owner about 6 months ago, closer to 8 months ago. And they reached out to me, and if I had an interest. I really wasn't looking, but this is a perfect fit for me. It's in my hometown. Got some new product development going on, and so it's a good change. Like anything, it's good to have a change. But so
just to freshen things up every once in a while is a good thing for sure. So you said you got some new product development going. It's just a couple of friends here. You gonna share any goods? What's on the horizon?
Yeah, well, what's coming up too is there's some more rapid heat transfer machines for applying that type stuff. The DTF is such a big thing now too, that we're working on some different products along that line. And actually, I want to get back into setting up the small screen print shops and training some small screen printers again too. That's an area that a lot of companies, I think, kind of overlook the newcomer. Yeah. And that's really where I cut my teeth. I mean, I work with people one day printing in a garage, the next day I'll work with the guys at Nike. So that's what I'm talking about, things being different all the time. Yeah. So that's where I appreciate you letting me sit in and talk to you guys. I watch the show about every Friday. I try to, so go from there.
So great to see you, man. Yeah. All right. There you go. Yeah, there you go. There we go. Good to talk to you. There you go, guys. A little bonus there, everybody. So that's super cool. Get to talk to James. James, again, we talked about the people, right? He brought up the people. Man, it's about the people, because here's the thing that, you got people like James, you got people like Greg, you've got people like Kevin, right? You got people like us that years and years and years that we've been here, and I don't know how you can better prove that if you're not out there trying to build relationships, then you might be doing it wrong, right? I don't know. All right. So Chuck says, when you find those things, let us know. Did I think I might. Yeah. For Todd, replying to Todd. Yeah. Okay. Todd got into the industry for money, girls, and countless days off. And so Todd, the follow-up question then is why did you stay? Because I know you got one girl. Your wife. I think you do pretty well, but it's not always the easiest, I know for a fact, right? And I don't remember the last time you took a day off, as far as I can tell. You work your tail off, dude. So no, I love that. Thank you for sharing, Todd. All right, so I think we covered all that pretty well, but what else is standing out? Anything else standing out for you there, Eric?
Well, I'll say this much. The cool thing is, as we talk about the people and building, number one, I want to make sure that I iterate this. I always say this over and over again, reiterate this point. People buy from people, people trust people, and people buy emotionally. So part of what we have to do is work on our communication. There are different styles of communication and different people like different types of communication, but reaching out and finding a way to connect with people is really important in any kind of business, and especially in our business where it is such a personal thing that we get. So, honestly, it's just how it is. Now we're all laughing because we got Todd coming up. Todd says, I'm only batting 333 right now, so my MLB standards, I'm doing great. Yeah. Hey,
Hall of Famer.
you're doing fine, Todd. I'm sure. But yeah, that's the thing. And I'll also say this: from having taught and had my big session yesterday morning, and had a really nice full session, tons of people out to hear more about the value of embroidery and what we can do to kind of get more value out of it. The cool thing was the mix of people who were there. I saw some people who were definitely vibing on multi-head machines and more production. I knew people who were there and saw people who were talking about boutique style embroidery. And I saw lots of brand new people, and the mix was encouraging because there were more brand new people who were engaged and wanted to talk. And I think honestly, that was really cool. And I think that it continues on what everybody said about how they got into the industry and why they stayed. The novelty and the interest of getting in is the first portion of it. The creativity and all that stuff we get to do, certainly. But then maintaining connections, refining your process, approaching mastery of your own process, and then being able to add value to the process is something that's wonderful, especially when you can do it for people. And when you take the risk, and I always make this joke, we're taking the risk to care. Taking the risk to actually care about the people on the other end of the transaction and not think about it transactionally, but think about it as helping people. And it was great to see that is also going on in that space. We have brand new people coming in who have new angles and ideas, but they also are exposing new groups, new communities to what decorative apparel can do for you, and honestly, to this kind of community that we all have here. Yeah. So I think it was great.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think. All right. Well, Eric, I feel like we covered that pretty well. And so it is that time, everybody, weekly wins time. So get in there. We want to hear from all of you guys, everybody that's tuned in live here. We'll maybe, I don't know, if somebody walks by and this stares at us too long, we may grab them and tell them, you got to share a weekly win. Since I got the mic, I'm going to start. All right. So my weekly win here today is, the reason I'm here, the specific reason I came out here, obviously love being here at the show and stuff like that, but I had an opportunity to do a full day workshop with my friends at Corel Trainer and the Magic Touch and Creo. The four companies there put on a full day workshop where we covered everything from design to printing, the technology, the applications, and then I got a chance to share a lot of business stuff, from how do you build a business that you love, right? My secret sauce today on the Two Rare Guys actually talked about that, working on your business versus not always working in your business. And so we got to share that. And then I also then got to share, okay, and then what's the next foundational piece? A little bit about building your business plan. We talked about some pricing strategies, things like that. Yeah, wonderful event. We had a great time. We had a couple challenges with the electricity. So I learned that I can actually do a presentation without slides, which I was a little nervous about, but I did 30 minutes of my presentation without slides at all. And that went well. So that was good. And so did that. Finally getting to the weekly win here, though. One of the young ladies in the class really loved the message that I was sharing. Talked a lot about understanding your why, your core, your reason, that kind of thing. And she's from Hawaii. And so she says, yeah, you got to come out to Hawaii. So I got invited to Hawaii. I got to figure out how to make that work. But I'm going to go out to Hawaii and teach. We're going to put that on the vision board. How about that? So there you go. Long-winded answer for that's my weekly win. How's that go?
All right. Yeah, we have Ramona also coming in with a weekly win, which is a very substantial weekly win. If you ask me, everybody says, oh, little things. This is not a little thing from someone who knows better. Ramona says, weekly win. I got it done. I got it all done. 3 16-hour days, production, digitizing, shipping. I got it done. Today I relax. Hey, that's a win right there. So glad to see that from Ramona, and definitely thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Sometimes the work is just showing up every day. That's the win. I mean, it's easy for us to talk about bigger weekly wins here because we are here at this big event that we got to do. Frankly, I think one of the weekly wins for all of us, for both of us, is that we got two other guys on the show floor in a booth and pulled it off today, like real live
spot.
with a hotspot. So thank you, Aaron, and rip Aaron's data limits. But suffice it to say, managed to pull that off, and it was really great. The other big weekly win for me, certainly, the class yesterday. It's even though it's one that I've taught previously, it was great. Filled up a big double room down here, had lots of lovely people who were there. And I thought for me, it really turned out well. I had a nice long line of people after the fact who were sitting around asking questions, which I always love. And I got to, we always joke around that there's the class you teach before the class starts, then there's the class, then there's the class you teach after the class starts, and it's all about that Q&A, and we did a lot of that yesterday. So I got to talk about some of my favorite things like patches, some of the tools I've developed within Brilliance, different things we can do with our software, and how to make other profit centers out of markets they really weren't thinking were possible. Talk to some guys about how to make patches and emblems work for them. And I got to do that on top of talking about the value of embroidery and doing a kind of class I don't always get to do since most people want to see the digitizing stuff. So my big weekly win, got to teach that class, and also that, hey, I survived it. Had a rough week heading up into the classes. Thank you to my wife for dealing with me as we were heading out and getting things done. But very much the biggest win always has to be helping people and building those relationships like we talked about. And that class was all about it. So I'm happy to see it.
Love it.
All right.
Well, round of applause for you, Eric. Round of applause for you, Ramona. What else we got out there, guys? We got to get some more weekly wins in here. I know we've got at least 10 live viewers right now. So there should be 9 more weekly wins in here. Kingsbury Craft, Chuck, Jesse, Todd, Collegiate Press, wide format. We already got Ramona. Come on, you guys. Bring it. What do you got? So, Eric, I guess while we're waiting for that, we could just sit here in silence, or we could go on to challenges and Q&A.
Let's run the challenge.
All right. Well, I'll let you lead here.
All right. So challenges this week, I'd have to say for me, it's going to be what I usually find after these trade shows. And I know this is a weird kind of like, here we go, getting woo-woo and mental and whatever again. We talk about mental health and self-care during the Cheerleader Guys a little bit, and we're certainly going to keep on that. For me, I always find that there's a little bit of a letdown period after these things where I have a lot of energy running in. I focus really hard into big events like this. And then afterwards, there's this kind of like the birthday party's over feeling. The balloons are starting to sag, and you're kind of feeling like, oh, man, we're back to the regular grind. Now, I have to admit, super excited because there's some stuff going on at home that I'm happy to get back into. So I know that's going to be really great, and I'm happy to get back into some projects. And we got Brian from Brilliance. He and I have some stuff we got to meet on real soon. Cool. So I'm excited about that. But admittedly, there's always this kind of post-show kind of drawdown. I think my big challenge right now is that I focused so hard to get through this part of the show that now I'm going to have to go back into that stream of normal life and start taking care of those things. So I'll have to say that's my challenge, and I already feel it. Like, I'm so happy to see my friends here, to be here with Aaron and see Terry, and to go do all the things we get to do at trade shows, meet with new decorators, see all the new things out here. You know, we're across from the Hoop Tech booth. I'm off looking at frames and fixtures, trying not to stare while they're doing demos. But the thing is, after all of this confetti is done falling, you know, sometimes you have to process it. And I think that's my big thing that I'm going to work on, is that this week I want to make that transition a little smoother. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So Sheila says about that. Yeah. Re-entry after an event is a real process. Yeah. Especially if you're organizing or teaching or doing something at the event. It's already a process just to attend one, let alone if you had to organize anything. I have to agree.
And it's also a process for time travel. It's a real thing.
It's science.
It is science.
We may have done some empirical testing.
All right, Ramona says, now that it's all done, time to focus on my setup for Applique Getaway Virtual and get that started in production, recording, editing, production. Good job, Ramona. Cool.
Yeah, right. Yeah, those are the challenges. I mean, certainly there's other challenges about just getting back to the long-term work, but I think that everybody here, I'll say this, but I can actually give some other challenges than people who are around here. And the funny thing is, these challenges are a little bit the same as we see at other shows. I hate to say it like this, but everybody has to get back into different things as they get rolling. So it's like we know that as you learn decoration, that every new garment might produce a new challenge. Every new job might have a new challenge attached to it. But the great thing I want to say about challenges that we've learned at the show and that it got reiterated to me doing the classes is that though they're the same challenges, we are all together in this and things are getting better and people have answers for each other. So some of it's just going to be decoration challenges. Some of it's going to be the same old time management. But at the same time, those challenges are something we're all going through. And frankly, the community is still here.
Yeah. The definitely all real challenges. And the other challenge is this is not a good environment for me to do podcasting and whatnot. And you guys might know that I am a chaser of squirrels and everything goes by and everybody kind of waves and says hi. So I apologize if I kind of am like, what? Oh, there we go. But, all right. Well, so let me also talk about some challenges. I'm going to actually talk about some challenges that came up in the class that we were able to do on Wednesday. So these were some. I don't know if they're. Yeah, it's Q&A. So these were some of the questions that we got. Right. A lot of it had to do with how do I find the right customers, right? How do I, because normally it starts off with how do I find more customers? And then as you start talking to them, you start to realize it's not really a problem of more customers, it's the right customers, right? And one of the things we talked about was how do you look at your marketing, your the way you're going about acquiring new customers and have it be a process, right? There's the working on versus working in. We all want to go out and market our business. We go right to the working in. I have to make that Facebook post. I have to come up with the content. I have to, figure out the ad or go to the event. But we forget about the working on process, because if you just spend that little bit of time working on the business first to really truly define who your ideal customers are, what your brand is, and how those two things come together, then you actually reduce the amount of time that it takes to do the other parts. Plus you're spending less money because I'm not just trying everything. I know exactly where my customers are. Once I clearly identify who the ideal customer is, I know exactly what they want to hear because they're attracted to my brand and the types of things that are important to me, the values and things like that. And so now all of a sudden the marketing stuff gets easy. And so it becomes a matter of sharing it enough that you're attracting those people again. So one of the things that we also talked about from there is having a clear understanding of why you're doing this, what your values are. We talked about the people, but we talked about how we like to support other small businesses. Honestly, a lot of decorators are just like us there, where they want to support small decorators, or not small decorators. They want to support small businesses, like through merch or branding, apparel, support people through fundraiser programs, things like that. And so once you have that clarity, then you're not out there selling or, marketing. You're just sharing what you love, right? You're just sharing your passion. So that's not necessarily my challenge. That was a lot of stuff that came up during that class that I thought would be good to share there. So, so you can expand on that. And then we got to share Todd's weekly win here too.
Sure. All right. So honestly, I think it really plays into the stuff that we all talk about, right? We know that we have to do some development work. And I'll even say this, the great thing about the class I got to teach is that Impressions trusted me enough that they let me teach a class that was about a value proposition, meaning how do I propose to a customer how valuable embroidery is and why is it different than other things? And it was so cool to see a full group of people. People didn't walk out. They weren't like, why isn't this how to digitize 3D foam again? I mean, and don't get me wrong, I love teaching that class too. But the truth of the matter is, I think people have finally figured out that the challenge isn't always how do I make more stuff? How do I learn more things? How can I get more equipment on the floor? It's how do I show people the value of what I do? How do I understand those people better so that I can serve them better? And honestly, like you said, how do we get the high dollar client, the client that makes the most sense for us, or the high fit client who fits with the way we work, who fits with the way that we produce? and really is part of like our tribe, likes this kind of stuff that we do in such a way that they value us and they're part of that trade. We're partners in this thing. They want to see us do well, and we want to provide them the best that's possible, and to do so in this medium that we love. And I think that's the great thing is the challenge has changed from, like you said, those basics of just like, how do I get more people to dish out cash?
Yeah.
Yes, that's important, but just that doesn't make your business the best it could be. And it certainly doesn't make it the best for you. It's more than just that. And for on my side, whereas lots of people are coming to me and what they really want is techniques. And it's something I love teaching, and you'll see me teaching it again very soon. But there was something lovely about getting past how do I do small lettering? How do I achieve this texture? How do I digitize this particular project?
Yep.
And getting onto how do we not only make more value, but elicit that and put it into our messaging so people understand that. And it was cool to see people valuing their own business and to think about these things. The working on. I do this big thing where I say, let's ask these tough questions about your business. Why does your product actually answer their question, and why not something else?
Yep.
What is it that your shop uniquely brings that no one else can?
Yep.
And I mean, there's other questions in there. I have about 6 different questions I ask, and it really comes down to why you? Why not somebody else? If you can't answer that, then you don't have your pitch done. And why, for my sake and for the product we're talking about, why embroidery, and why it's the right answer for what they're asking you to do. If you don't have those answered, if you can't say what your unique value is, that might be the big challenge you have coming up. Yeah. And I think that all goes with what Aaron says. You have to define clients and define everything that you want to do. But yeah, we do have that weekly win. Let's bring in from Todd. Todd's weekly win. He said he made the top 1% of rising Facebook creators. Awesome. Nice. Awesome, Todd. Nice. Yes. All right. So, man.
All right. Well, what other challenges do you guys have out there? What do we need to talk about? Where are you stuck right now, or what challenges have you overcome, and how did you do it? That's fine too, right? All right. I'm gonna pose this question to you, Eric.
All right.
No, I was gonna be funny, but I'm not gonna do it. No. So here's a challenge, and I want to hear your take on it, right? So you talked about the reentry. You talked about, right, like, so how, as you look ahead, because you do so much, right? You tackle a lot of things. You've got a lot of sticks in the fire at all times, right? How do you manage that in a way that it doesn't become too overwhelming, where you just want to kind of throw your hands in the air?
Like an earlier comment, when I find that out, I'll have to share that with everybody.
No, but you do it. You do it every day. So,
here's what I'll say. Though I'm not perfect at it, and I'm still working on this process, I try to give everything its season and its space as best I can. But the other thing is, and I'm learning this now, and it's something that I'm much better at the trade show than I am other places, focus on one thing at a time. I'm terrible at this usually, but the isolation of the trade show brings out Trade Show Eric, who for some reason can say, I'm not doing this other stuff right now because I have an important thing that's happening now here.
Sitting on a concrete floor next to me.
Hey, it's pretty important to me, but suffice it to say, right? The thing is, focus is hard, but when we have a very clear priority, it suddenly becomes really natural to us. And like everybody else, I find that when I'm here at this show and I have a thing that has to be done on schedule for a class or for an event, or when I've been running a booth, all priorities are clear. Yeah. What that tells me is, if I was really clear about those same priorities at home, yes, there's stuff at the house that has to get done that's going to interfere with other things you do in your business. If I was clear about priorities, I would be as clear about my decision making there as I am here.
I love it. So it goes to my saying that when I'm talking to folks, when I do my time management class, because I'm going to give away the secret. Nobody's got a time management problem, Eric. We all have the same 24 hours, right? So we ultimately have a priority management problem. And, being somebody that is good at the chasing of squirrels, as I'm doing right now, I'm like, what am I talking about? So Corey says, preach. I'm finding the time to work on my course by the end of this month, even if I have to pass on business for the time being. There.
That's the thing, man. sometimes those priorities come up and they become very clear. But there's one thing I'll say that always helps me to set priorities. There's one secret tip that will always.
All right, everybody. We've had a great time here, and there will be some maybe some bonus content that gets posted over at Two Regular Guys on the Facebook page as well. So stay tuned over there, and if we see anything new and exciting here at Fort Worth, we'll keep it coming your way. So thank you guys for tuning in.
See you guys next week.